Guys, there's this thing called crypto.
Oh.
Have you heard of it? Rand, crypto banter, man. So, crypto. We talked about focusing on the headlines, what's going on in the headlines. If you focus on what's going on in the headlines, bro, crypto's on fire right now. Or crypto's a complete scam, depending on what headline you're focusing on. We've seen what happened with Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. This week, just alone, we're going to show some stories in a second. By the way, the reason that I'm teeing this up, we've had some very credible people on our channel. Michael Saylor, we've interviewed him multiple times. Every time Michael Saylor comes to the podcast, you know what I do? Buy another Bitcoin. Thanks, Mike. We have Anthony Pompliano on the show, very credible. And today we've got Rand Nooner.
Yes.
He's in the house, highly credible source. But here's some, show Rand, go ahead. It's okay to show him on the, yeah, there he is. Pan out, guys. The DOJ, this is an interesting thing. There's a guy called Bitcoin Jesus. He's out here. Bitcoin Jesus, the DOJ charges Bitcoin Jesus Roger Ver worth $48 million in tax fraud, underreporting Bitcoin earnings. He was arrested in Spain and extradition is sought by the United States. He failed to disclose his ownership of 131 Bitcoins. Real quick, do 131,000 times 60,000.
No, 131,000.
131,000, correct. Did I say that?
Bitcoin.
You said
Fact check me. 131,000. Marcel, help me out here. What does that number say?
131K.
131K. There it was. Thank you. That was in 2014 when he renounced his U.S. citizenship. Okay, do you have that number?
No.
Does anybody know how to use
It's
a
a lot
calculator?
of money.
131 times 60,000. Go ahead.
That's
Flip
a
your
lot of
calculator
money.
that way.
Oh.
He could face jail time previously, served jail time for selling explosives. That is
10 billion.
$7.8 billion. Pretty insane. At the same time, as Bitcoin Jesus is convicted of tax fraud,
Damn.
the biggest platform, the largest cryptocurrency platform in the world, Binance, their founder, CEO, I want to say, CZ, what does CZ stand for?
Changpeng Zhao.
Changpeng Zhao.
Changpeng Zhao.
He was sentenced to 4 months for money laundering. And quote unquote, we can show this article.
He kinda got a
Despite
good
wealth,
deal.
power, or status, there he is right there.
It's from our website.
No person, regardless of wealth, check out valuetainment.com,
Shane.
is immune from prosecution or above the laws of the United States. That's a U.S. judge to Zhao. We're actually going to show you where Bitcoin is today, and we couldn't be luckier to have Rand here.
Yeah.
But also Jordan, that's made a lot of money in crypto, explain what is going on in the crypto markets
I got a
today.
question for you, Adam.
Yeah.
Would you do 4 months for $6 billion?
6?
Any day of the
600.
week.
$600 billion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
6, that's what he's worth?
So
No, I think that math was
so-
wrong. It said 6 million.
let's
on my
reverse it.
phone.
No,
No,
but
it's
there's a
got
difference
way
in
more
Bitcoin
six.
Jesus and what CZ
Yes,
is.
No,
let's-
it's
let's
exactly.
So here's what I want to do. Bitcoin is at where today?
48, 58.
59,000.
Yeah.
So we just did the math there. You've got Bitcoin. I've got Bitcoin. You probably have way more Bitcoin than me. I've got Bitcoin.
I was talking about something
Jordan, you
else.
got Bitcoin. You got
course.
crypto.
I got a
You got
little
you're a
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin guy.
I have
You got-
crypto.
You got crypto.
I got a little Bitcoin.
You got a
That's
little
great.
bit.
That means
Coin,
that
you
out
got-
of
Bitcoin,
Okay.
Ethereum.
Just explain what's going on from a macro perspective in the marketplace, where Bitcoin is now. There was just a Bitcoin halving. What can we expect by the end of the year, 2025?
I think you gave me the
Drop some knowledge.
You gave me the perfect segue. You started talking about inflation. You started talking about the US debt repayments. You started talking about how we're all unhappy with the way that the current leadership is spending running the country and the state of the financial health of the country. But then you brought it back to individuals that are getting charged for individual crimes that they may or may not have committed. So CZ has been proven guilty, but Roger Ver still has to have his day in court.
Yep.
Allegedly.
And he may or may not be guilty. So I think let's not conflate the fact that there may be bad actors in this industry with how amazing the industry actually is. Because it's very easy to say, oh, well, you know, Sam Bankman-Fried was a fraud. That's amazing, but he has nothing to do with the technology. He was one operator in the technology. That's like saying that if there's one bad actor in biotech, the entire biotech industry is a huge scam. No.
Yeah.
There are individual players.
What was the pharma bro? Oh, remember him?
There was
Martin.
a, and-
What was his name?
Martin Shkreli.
Yes.
Yeah, Martin Shkreli.
Yeah.
What is the
Great point. Scumbag,
what
right?
is the
Total.
girl that pretended she had the blood
needle,
the blood
blonde
she's
Oh, the blonde lady?
the blonde lady.
and-
She went to she's serving time.
Theranos,
She did what?
Theranos.
Theranos. What
The
was it?
Theranos founder.
Never heard
So I'm
of
saying,
Oh, yeah,
I
Toronto,
think
yeah.
let's not conflate, let's not mix the fact that this industry is a great industry and Bitcoin is a great investment with the fact that there are some unscrupulous players in the industry. In terms of the industry, let me bring it back to you guys. You guys spoke about how there's so much money printing, how inflation is out of control, how governments are aiding the wrong countries, and you guys weren't happy with it. And unfortunately, what they're doing is they're doing this with a currency that they control. If they want to print more US dollars to fund this great deficit that they have, switch the money printer on. And that's what's happened in a long time. And the reason why you're all complaining about inflation is because they decided that they want to carry on printing more and more money. And you have no say about that. So how do you protect yourself from that? You got to get yourself into money that the government doesn't control, where you know exactly how much the inflation is going to be. They can't just switch on the tap and create more money. Because remember that when they have more money, inflation goes up and things become more expensive. And that's the problem. And if you want to tap out of that, there's a very simple way to tap out of it. You can buy Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin is a money that is not controlled by governments, where we know the inflation rate is set at a certain amount. We can talk about that in a couple of seconds. No one can change the inflation rate. It's of very scarce and limited supply, and it's currently following a technological uptake. So you have if you're getting in now, you're pretty much getting in before the rest of the world into a money with a limited supply and an increasing demand, and no possibility of inflating the supply. And that to me, regardless of whether it's Bitcoin or anything else, but right now let's talk about Bitcoin, that to me just sounds like a very sound investment.
It's still not realistic, though.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
think-
realistic at all. It's actually, again, we take this exception to the rules and we blow them up like crazy. Almost everybody on this panel has Bitcoin. Why is that? Because we could afford it. How many Bitcoins total exist today?
21 million. No, today less. Today less. There will be 21 million.
Think about that number and ask yourself how many people are alive adults in the United States today. Can they all buy Bitcoin?
That's the beauty of Bitcoin. Because you don't have
see?
you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin.
You could buy a fraction of
You
it,
can
but
buy a
there's still a
fraction.
scarcity.
But there's still only 21 million.
There's still
So
only
How
How
many
21
control that
million
21
people
million? Like
would
what
have
percentage?
You have
Whoa, whoa,
whales.
whoa, hold on,
You have whales who
hold on.
control most of it,
You can go
and
on.
it's unrealistic
No,
to
you're wrong.
suggest that a cryptocurrency, which I admire, could replace a fiat currency for exchange and medium of wealth building.
That's
It's
not what it's
really-
for.
That's not.
Adding to that,
Hold on.
With respect,
Let him make his point.
because the point that he made about why Bitcoin is so good is because it's scarce. So you can't now say everybody should invest or buy. Even if you're buying a fraction, it's still not a means. The total market capitalization of Bitcoin today is less than that of Apple. That means Bitcoin is a very tiny fraction of the financial market today. It can't solve the problem of financial wealth at all.
But
But this comes down to supply
with
and demand.
Diversifies.
With respect-
It would
It's supply and
diversify.
demand,
With respect.
It would diversify your portfolio, so you could have Bitcoin as part of it, just in case the country goes crazy
Jordan,
with
let
printing
you
money.
respond to
No,
this.
no,
'cause-
and-
hold on,
and go
let
on.
Jordan respond.
I want to let you get your point off because you got something to say, and then I'll.
No, go ahead. You have Bitcoin. I want you to
own
respond to
gold?
this. I'll go back to Rand.
No.
Well, the purpose of Bitcoin is to serve the same as gold, and it's a store of value. Bitcoin is not meant to swap out your fiat U.S. dollar.
I agree.
It's a storage of
But did
value.
you hear what he said?
You were just arguing, though, that it was to replace the modern exchange.
That's what he
That's what
said.
he
I was-
said.
I was addressing his point because he's saying because we're printing so much currency that Bitcoin is a good replacement. And I'm saying those two things are not the same.
No, what he's
They serve
saying,
different purpose.
is not replacing it as a medium of exchange, but as a hedge and something that we can hold as the value, because we're holding the dollar as the reserve currency of the world when it's being, when it's being created every
Right.
single day. That's our reserve currency.
Right.
Will Bitcoin replace that? Maybe, maybe not. But we need something stronger. We need a harder money that we can use as the basis of our
You're a
finance.
financial guy. You're a financial guy. Let me ask you a question. If a company has a stock and the stock is a $1,000 stock, and they split the stock and it becomes a $10 stock, is it the same stock?
It is the same stock.
And if you don't have $1,000 and you can then buy one for $10,
Absolutely.
it's the same thing with Bitcoin. If a Bitcoin costs $50,000 and you can't afford to buy a Bitcoin, go and buy $5 worth of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is infinitely divisible, right?
Yes.
Which means that you can buy a small fraction of Bitcoin, which means that I have this. If I can afford a whole Bitcoin and he can't afford a whole Bitcoin, we have the same opportunity, equal
buy.
opportunity to invest in that same Bitcoin.
Right.
In that same Bitcoin, which means that if I make 10% of my investment because the US is printing more dollars and the amount of Bitcoin remains the same, both of us will make exactly the same 10%. That's the beauty of Bitcoin, that you can buy it down to 18 decimal places.
Can I make a technical argument so
Sure.
that way we're all clear on what we're talking about? You're talking about, because the comparison you made is where I kind of jumped in. When you said because the country prints more money and therefore you should hedge your bets with Bitcoin, I'm telling you that that's not a realistic comparison. Why am I saying that? Bitcoin, we just pulled it up, is still based on a conversion to the US dollar. If the US dollar has no value, you're going to be replacing your Bitcoin at some point. When you sell it, what do you want back? When you sell your Bitcoin, what do you want back? For
USD.
No.
USD.
No. I want South African currency, gold. You can compare any currency to any currency. The fact that on this show, right now, we called it up in US dollars, it does not mean that Bitcoin has any relationship with the US dollar. If we were sitting in South Africa, we would have showed it against South African rand. If we were sitting in Nigeria, we would have showed the Bitcoin price
please
against the
don't.
naira. No, of course. In Japan, you look at it against the Japanese yen. We're in the United States.
talking about the United States
This is the
today,
United
right
States
now.
show, and therefore we looked at it relative to the US dollar.
My point is, I'll simplify my point in one sentence. Our problems will not be solved by people using US dollar as a comparison to Bitcoin. If the US dollar has an issue because it's been overprinted and there's over circulation, Bitcoin is not going to solve that problem.
Which asset do you have right now that is truly scarce in your portfolio? Because you'll agree with me that if an asset is not scarce, if an asset is not scarce and you can create more of it, then for example, if you can create more US dollars, do you agree with me that the more US dollars they print, the less the US dollar becomes worth?
Absolutely, correct.
Okay. So which assets in your portfolio do you have today? You're a financial planner. You're a CPA,
I'm not a
right?
financial planner.
You're a CPA.
Right.
Which asset in your portfolio do you have that is truly scarce?
I wouldn't say there's anything that's scarce,
But scarcity.
except for crypto.
Aha.
Now, however, let me go because Jordan asked me if I had gold. There's certain natural resources that are also scarce, like gold, diamonds.
Wait, how much gold? Gold is scarce.
Right.
I'll tell you what the difference is between Bitcoin and gold.
Tell me.
With Bitcoin, you know exactly how scarce it actually is. We know that every block, every 10 minutes, a certain amount of Bitcoin is going to come out that is fixed and cannot be changed by anyone. With gold, the better technology becomes, the deeper they can dig, and the more gold they can come out of.
Right.
Let me take it to the extreme.
Right.
One day, if technology does this,
Right.
we will be able to get gold off asteroids out of this planet,
Right.
which means that gold may not even be scarce anymore. So now I'm going to ask you again. I'm going to ask you again.
I like that.
If scarcity equals value, and it does, we know that, right? If scarcity equals value, what is the only truly investable scarce asset in the world today?
I would say production equals value because there's shares of companies in the United States that have more value and has had more returns in their aggregate lifetime than Bitcoin.
In dollar-denominated returns.
All right, guys,
course.
I'm gonna
Of course.
cut you guys off because spirited debate, but unfortunately, we're geeking out on Bitcoin right now, and this is sort of the problem with Bitcoin, is that we go down this rabbit hole, and it's like scarcity. And now we're talking about asteroids. It's like, let's stay on Earth here, guys, for a second. By the way, we all have Bitcoin,
Right.
so it's not like you're anti-Bitcoin.
No.
It's not like you also have U.S. dollars. You also have money.
Not
you also have fiat currency.
Not anymore.
shares.
Not anymore.
Bullshit, Rand. You must have some American dollars or rands in South Africa. You're not 100%
Randy,
crypto.
does he have any shares in any
Why do you think I was
company?
asking about the credit card
No,
debt
no.
earlier?
I'm saying you have something.
He's like, I can't
The
buy
majority of my
licenses.
wealth is in
Thank
crypto.
you. But that means the minority is something else.
Yes.
You have a good amount of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Guys, Rand. Still pisses me off that you hate America. Still pisses me off. But here's my point, because I want to bring this back to reality, to the average person. Because what Yinka makes is a good point. He's not anti-Bitcoin. He's basically saying, listen, do you have Bitcoin?
A little bit of Bitcoin.
A little bit. Everyone. But there's people, I'm not calling you out.
I trade
There's
Forex,
people
and
who are
that's
saying they have Bitcoin or they have like $7 worth of Bitcoin. Let's just be real for a second.
That's great.
They want to look cool. No, is it
That's a
really
good
great?
start.
It's a great start. Thank you. The Bitcoin evangelist over here. It's got to start somewhere with the Bitcoin. But the reality is, you know, you got to crawl before you walk. You got to walk before you run. You got to run before you start running Bitcoin marathons. So for me, it's all about asset allocation. So for me, 10% of my wealth is in crypto. 80% of my wealth is in the U.S. stock market, in index funds, in S&P. You might say, what an idiot. Made me a millionaire. That's fine. You became a millionaire because of crypto. Awesome. What works for you? Different strokes for different folks. But still, for the average American who's living paycheck to paycheck, don't get it twisted. Cash is king. That's the foundation. Once you save up a decent amount of money, then you can start investing. Most people are living credit card to credit, paycheck to paycheck, have credit card debt. So for the average person to say, you got to get Bitcoin, homie, you got 50 grand of student loans, homie. Like, give it a second. You got 10 grand in credit card debt. You owe 30 grand on your car. Relax, Captain Bitcoin. Give it a second. Pump the brakes. So there's different strokes for different folks, and there's different levels to this thing. So what I want to ask you is this, because here's what's going on, the reality in America. Because it's easy for a millionaire to be like, here's the advice, guys. Because most people just say, dude, what the fuck do I need to do? I am drowning in debt. I have 4 grand in my name and rent's coming due. So let's live in reality for a second, asset allocation. Here's some headliners. High schoolers, right? 85% of high schoolers want financial education, but schools don't offer it. Headline. 34% of adults pass a basic financial literacy quiz. 53% are unable to grasp what's the difference between a stock and a bond. 45% are confused about a 401k, and 28% are struggling with taxes. Now you throw Bitcoin in there. Bro, these guys can't do math. 19% of students turn to social media for financial information. All right. By the way, talk about 401k. Most people retire because they have a 401k. There's a 3-legged stool of retirement before Bitcoin came in the equation. 3-legged stool of retirement, you know this. There's Social Security. Good luck getting by on that. My mom and my stepdad are on Social Security. $2 grand a month. That's it. There's no that's where it stops. And they're saying that in the next 10 years that it can be sliced by 25%. So that's $1,500. You got that 401k stat? The next thing is a pension. Who here has a pension on this panel? Nobody.
Got rid of
Unless
those.
you're a cop, fireman, maybe a teacher. Who the hell has a pension? Maybe you play in the NBA, you get an NBA pension.
Maybe.
Those don't exist. But the third thing is personal savings and personal investments. This is where saving money, investing money, and yes, Bitcoin come to the equation. You have that 401k stat?
We have the article. You want the article or you
Just
want
throw the article. There it is.
Yeah. You're ready.
43% of Americans don't know what a 401k is. It's a retirement plan. So how the hell are you going to retire if you don't even know what the hell a retirement plan is? By the way, that's an employee-sponsored plan. If you work for a company that your employee doesn't even provide it, then you got to go do a Roth IRA or an IRA, individual retirement account. Most people, here's the shocking news, 17% can't spell IRA. 3 letters, motherfucker.
No way. You're lying.
I just
No,
made
come
that
on.
up.
Okay, I
but
was
it's
gonna
pretty
say.
realistic.
Close enough.
39% admit delaying financial healthy habits. 63% of couples believe learning about finances altogether to improve their financial situations. And then here's the coup de grace. If you could show that gambling article. America's young men have no clue what they're doing, so they're blowing their money like never before, and they're just putting it all on black. Right? And they're just gambling, and gambling has surged to a record $120 billion. If we don't have the article, we'll move on.
We have it.
So show it.
Show it.
There we go. The new way to get rich. There it is, gambling. I don't know who that guy is, but I promise you there's an article below it talking about gambling. And there it is, can't see it. Cool. So here's my question to the rich people on here. Because what you just said, like, you have no idea how much respect I have for you because you're an expert at something called Bitcoin. And I wish that I actually paid attention to my friend Adrian when he's like, invest in Bitcoin, invest in Bitcoin.
Right.
I was like, Bitcoins and blockchains and bitty bobs, enough with this. Eventually I succumbed and I gave him a good amount of money. Look at him now, look at you now, it's amazing. And I do have some Bitcoin, that's good. But I could have had more. But I've gotten rich from traditional avenues, 401ks, Roth IRAs, index funds. So what I want to get from the rich people on this panel, spit some knowledge to the people out there. What is the ideal asset allocation strategy? Meaning, save 10 grand, but then start a 401k, have a Roth IRA, do this, take a couple grand, put it in Bitcoin. What's actually realistic? Because just to tell people, buy Bitcoin and never think again, it's not going to work for the average person.
Yeah.
So Yinka, go ahead. You can go first. What's realistic?
Since we're talking about 401k, I'll just start with this. What's realistic is everyone who has an employer should be going on their website of the employer today or calling their HR and saying, hey, by the way, do you guys have 401k and how much do you match? Because that's a realistic.
Because that's free money.
Free money.
Yeah.
That's a realistic way
Ain't nobody might have better the money
of
than free money.
generating free money into your coffers. Now, when you get into that point, now you decide how much should you be put into your 401k. But the first thing you said, people don't know about 401k. The first thing they need to call their HR, go to their company website, find out if they have a 401k, and the next thing they should be doing is putting money in 401k and getting that match, because the match is free money. By the way, 401k's growth rate over the period of your 20-year, 30-year employment could become millions of dollars, and you could become a millionaire just from putting money in 401k.
If you put money in there. But again, 43% of Americans don't even know what it is.
So for majority of Americans, I would say get your company's information in 401k, make sure you put money in there, get the free match before you invest in Bitcoin.
Got it.
And-
Go ahead, Astrid.
For majority.
So first things first, I always tell people is make sure you have an emergency fund in place. So before you even think about investing, make sure that, hey, if anything, I would go into financial hardship, I have money stashed away to cover for those unexpected expenses. So you got that out of the way. Now, like you said, look into a 401k. If you work by yourself, I had a friend actually who said, hey, I work a 9 to 5, but I also am a part-time 1099 influencer, right? She's making good money. She's like, my employer does not offer me a match. Should I still put in my 401k? And I said, yes, because again, there's tax advantages to that account. Again, you pre-tax, that means your adjustable income for that year, you pay less. The government can tax you less. So again, another thing I remind people too is that a lot of these accounts, retirement accounts, an IRA, a 401k, a Roth IRA, these are just types of accounts that provide different tax advantages. You actually have to invest that money that you put into those accounts into stocks, bonds, mutual funds, whatever it is, because a lot of people will put a money into a 401k or a Roth IRA and then just leave it there and it's not earning any, it's not making any money for them because again, it's a type of account. It's not the actual investment. So please make sure you invest your money if you put into those accounts. Aside from that, I also think a big focus should be diversification. So again, whether that's crypto, whether that's gold, whether that's real estate, stocks, again, index funds is usually something I recommend. It's like the key is not everybody can withstand the volatility of like cryptocurrency. So it's really dumb to gamble your money and say, not with crypto, but just say like gambling. Put your money all on black and then expect to become rich because you're probably not.
Jordan, I want to learn from you for a second. I want you to own this segment. You were how old when you started making YouTube content? You were how old when you started making some money? You were how old when you started investing in crypto? You were how old when you became a millionaire? Give us your trajectory.
Yeah, I started making videos when I was around 12 years old. I made my first million at 19. And I would say when it comes to investing, if you're broke, forget investing in stocks, forget investing in crypto, forget investing in 401ks. There's only one thing you should invest in if you're broke, and that's education, because skills pay the bills. What are you going to invest if you don't have any money coming in, and you're not going to get money from trading some meme coin or from do some day trading of penny stocks? You got to have a skill set, and that only comes from having education. So buy books, pay for a mentorship, pay for some coaching, pay for a course, whatever it is. I think there is no better investment for you to make if you're broke than education, because, you know, that's what got me to where I'm at, is self-education. So for me, if I was broke today, starting over from zero, I would be looking at what can I buy to give me knowledge, because let's say the worst recession come around tomorrow, all your stocks, your 401k going in the trash, your crypto might go in the trash, but they can't take away the skills that you developed over the years. So it's like,
Love it, bro.
I agree. That's a good one.
Yeah, I say this thing all the time. Someone say, if I had only $100 to invest, where should I put the $100? I was like, go buy 5 books.
Yeah, oh God.
Straight up.
There's that
But the
saying,
$100
like,
Go to
are
the
going to get you
library. You
rich.
don't need to
But
buy
reading
Right.
5 books
I think
could potentially do it.
The answer
Go
is
ahead, Rand.
invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Invest in yourself. It's in education, learning, reading books. I have a partner, Jordan and I, we spoke about my partner. He's not a very well educated guy. When he was down and out, you know what he did? He switched on YouTube. And he immersed himself in YouTube videos. You don't need to buy a book, you don't need to buy a university degree, you don't need to buy college education. Everything is available free and online. So to say that I don't have enough money to invest in myself, you can't say that. You can get any education that you want online today, and if you look hard enough, you can get it for free. You can get Harvard courses for free. You can get everything you want for free. It's a mindset about investing in yourself. And so I think maybe let me just give you my theory around diversification and investing. Number one, if you got debt, you can't invest. Let's just get that off the table. If you got debt, you cannot invest. Then it depends on how old you are and what level you are in your life. And so to tell people how much to put into Bitcoin, how much to put into stocks, and how much to put into IRAs, it's different for every person. You know, if I'm 20 years old and I've got no responsibilities, then I can take huge risks. Whereas if I've got 20 years old and I have 4 kids, then take different risks. I'll never forget, I was once talking to a bunch of entrepreneurs, and the guy asked me, he said to me, I want to become an entrepreneur. And I looked at him and I said, well, the first thing you got to do is you got to quit your job. Because if you want to be an entrepreneur, you can't be an entrepreneur in the closet. You're either an entrepreneur or not an entrepreneur. And he said, you know, I want to quit my job. The thing is, I got 8 kids. And then it hit me that the answer is not the same for everyone. And that's why I say, I think the one thing that is true for everyone is don't have any debt. And the second thing is invest in yourself. And the rest will take care of itself.
So you're a zero debt proponent? Zero debt?
If you're investing, you can.
Not rich people debt, bro. He's talking about
He's
like
not talking about
Consumer, that's what I'm saying.
business
Consumer debt.
credit
Right.
line.
different.
Right.
If you
Consumer debt, right?
owe a couple of grand on your credit card, and now you're going to go and take out money to go and
Okay.
Yeah, you're
invest
talking
in
about
Bitcoin or
consumer
stocks,
debt.
that's
I'm
different.
glad you clarified that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not
no, look,
like
as a
house mortgage
business
or-
person, you're always doing risk return calculations in terms of the debt and the cost of debt
course.
versus what you're investing
Of
it
course,
in.
of course.
But most people that are watching this are looking to invest, and they say they're going to go to their credit card and take out credit card debt
Right.
at whatever credit card debt is, 20-30%,
Right. And invest
and
it.
then put in the stock market, and then wonder at the end of the day why they'll end up going broke.
No. All right. Let me hone in here, and then everyone's gonna get a chance to plug something. You guys are absolutely right. You nailed it. You got to start somewhere. Skills pay the bills. Degrees pay fees, oftentimes. And there's levels to this game. One of the most important books I ever read was The Boglehead's Guide to Investing. Jack Bogle, the founder of Vanguard, which is one of the largest mutual fund, index fund investing companies in the world. I think there's a market cap of, $8 trillion. They're doing okay. And I'll never forget, I was like, all right, cool, I made some money, I've saved, I've invested, I'm doing my thing. And I read this book. And he's now passed since COVID, but the book like hyped you up. It's like, you ready to invest? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to invest. You ready to invest? I'm like, let's go. They're like, you're not ready yet. I'm like, what? What do you mean? Do these 3 things first. Absolutely right. Have a game plan for your money that's called a budget. And you got to know what's coming in the door and what's going out the door. Income versus expenses. You have to understand that. Number 2, you have to, in order to win the money game, you can't lose the money game. And debt is arguably the worst 4-letter word known to man, because that's your money going backwards, especially high credit card debt. We have an Amscot around the street here, 400% for payday loans and ridiculous consumer loans. Absolutely ridiculous. Consumer loans like that. Insane. And then number 3, my catchphrase is you have to save that money. If you have $2,000 to your name, don't start investing, because you're gonna need that for bills, you're gonna need that for groceries, you're gonna need that for rent. I recommend that for most people out there, save 10 grand. Prove it to yourself that you can save 10 grand. If you can't do that, then you're not equipped to do investing. But then you can start investing. And you can do what Jordan started doing, start investing in crypto. You can start investing in your 401k. You can start getting your match, like Asher talked about, or you become a Bitcoin millionaire, like our friend Rand, or you can just be beautiful and hot like Marcel and have guys taking you out. It's fine.
Hey,
It's
but
all
don't,
good.
but don't wait
not
till you
true.
have $10,000 to start pursuing the thing that you've been wanting to do.
I agree with that. But here's what I'll say to this, and I firmly believe this. Now, right now, is the best time ever to be alive. Straight up.
Straight up.
Welcome to the
Facts.
world in 2024.
Facts.
It is now the easiest time ever to get rich and make money.
Yeah.
Welcome to the world.
Facts.
And despite the trajectory, the United States is still the greatest country to be living in the world. I'll go visit you in South Africa, but I'm going to stay here
He's not
in
there.
America. That's what's going on here. Whoa, whoa, whoa. If you like that one, click right here to watch the full SOSCAST. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.